afternoon from Manila, good morning, and good evening to those of you joining in from other parts of the world. Welcome to the 9th International Skills Forum, Reimagining Education and Skills Development for a New Normal. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. It is truly a pleasure and honor to be your MC today, to learn with all of you in this brilliant forum. I hope you're all doing well as we continue to navigate these uncertain times brought about by the pandemic. COVID-19 has upended our lives in just so many ways, and it has changed education forever. And at this forum, we will be exploring a range of challenges brought about by this disruption, as well as opportunities. My co-MC, Jost Wagner, will join us later. Some of you may have met him at other ADB events, which he regularly facilitates. Jost will be your MC for the next 3 days as well, and I'll be back on Friday. Now, let's begin by just checking where all of you are from. We want to know what regions are represented here. So we have a poll. You'll see on your screens. Please indicate what region you are from. So you have the choice of Central and West Asia, East Asia, Pacific, New Zealand, and Australia, South Asia, or the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, Southeast Asia, or the rest of the world, which is Africa, America, and Europe. So I'll give you a bit of time for that. So please choose. So we're seeing here what you're all clicking on. I see that we have a lot from Southeast Asia, about 63% there. So all regions represented. That's great. Great for inclusivity. So thank you all for participating. You can still participate if you haven't, and we will be showing that screen for a few more seconds. Thank you very much for sharing that with all of us. Now, we move on to the opening remarks. Please welcome Mr. Bambang Susantono, Vice President for Knowledge Management and Sustainable Development at ADB.
Thank you, Mitzi. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good day to all of you, morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are. So first of all, let me join Mitzi in welcoming all of you to the 9th International Skills Development Forum, the first held virtually, actually, thus underscoring our need to reimagine education and skills development. So I think my slide is already on. The pandemic's impact continues to bring unprecedented challenges to all of us, affecting our health, livelihood, and educations. Critically, it exposed the widespread disparity in education and skills development globally, and more specifically across Asia and the Pacific. It threatens to reverse some of the hard-earned gains made over the past decades. So allow me to first share with you some example of the pandemic real-life impact on education and skill development. On the left side, you see Ting Ting. She is a 6th grader in the People's Republic of China who comes from a relatively well-to-do family. Through online open educational resources, she achieved the 9th grade level competency in math during her first year home-based learning. She also streamed Python classes, an object-oriented programming language, and can now program simple games by herself. In her comfortable home study space, she uses an iMac for live stream class and open educational resources. And also she uses an iPad and Apple Pencils for digital note-taking. She also wears an Apple Watch that reminds her of daily study and exercise routine. This is definitely high-end. On the right side is Lin Lin, a 36-year-old People's Republic of China toll booth collector with 15 years of experiences, who lost what she thought was a secure job. The pandemic accelerated service automations, replacing her with a radio frequency ID system. So Lin Lin took a 6-month online reskilling course in accounting and eventually found a new job. What we are seeing is a widening digital gap across age groups, countries, and regions within countries. We must fulfill the urgent need to equip students, teachers, and trainers with the digital skill that allow them to adapt to a new learning, training, and finding jobs in a rapidly digitalizing world. Then in this slide, Namita on the left, a 3rd-year BA English student from India, to get better internet signal can be seen standing on a tilted roof, attending online class. The roof is the only area in their house where she could get good connectivity. This is too familiar in countries with poor ICT infrastructure and limited connectivity, especially in rural and remote areas. On the right is Sarafat, a teacher in Uzbekistan, struggling with online teaching because of the same connectivity problem. She also lacked the digital skills to quickly learn how to manage her classes. Only from her roof could she use her phone to call and send messages to students. Still, she managed to successfully get all her students to the next grade level. So even before COVID-19, research findings confirm that a large proportion of children are not able to read a simple sentence by the end of grade 3. Globally, the learning crisis disproportionately affects the poorest countries, where 7 out of 10 children are not learning basic primary level skills. As early learning deficits worsen over time, students in disadvantaged backgrounds face severe long-term consequences in their adult life. With poor learning foundations, they enter the workforce as educated adults, but ill-equipped to meet the skills requirements of the job market. COVID-19 has exacerbated learning and inequities since the overnight shift to online learning was not accessible to a large share of the population in many developing countries due to lack of connectivity, digital contents, and readiness of teachers to manage online teaching. We must fulfill the urgent need to equip students, teachers, and trainers with the digital skills that allow them to adapt to new learning, training, and finding jobs in a rapidly digitalizing world. Industry 4.0 has significant impacts on the future of jobs, skills, and higher education. We have seen that the 4IR will bring job displacements, job gains, and shorten shelf-life of different occupations. To address the compounded challenges, our education system needs to adopt a two-pronged strategy. First, it is important to go back to the basics to address the core problems of poor learning and skill mismatches and related improvement required across all levels of education. Second, going beyond the basics, it is also important to pursue transformational approaches that include adopting edtech solutions to scale learning and equity, preparing the current and future workforce with Industry 4.0 skills, and improving teaching and learning by drawing on research from brain science, psychology, pedagogy, and technology. To capitalize on the emerging opportunities, let me focus on 3 key actions: convergence, cohesion, and collaboration, the 3C. Convergence comes from the development across disciplines, such as innovation and pedagogy, psychology, and neuroscience. Combined with technologies powered by artificial intelligence and big data analytics, education becomes a powerful enabler to transform learning and make it more equitable. Neurological breakthrough, for example, show how the cultural environment alters children's brain development, which impacts learning and school readiness. Discoveries in behavioral science show how early learning sets the foundation for success in school and in life. This improves the life of children and their learning experiences. New understanding of neuroplasticity can help create new frameworks for adult education and lifelong learning. A new national survey from the National Center for Research in Policy and Practice in the US found that the majority of education leaders value research and use it regularly. This convergence of research and practice can have a wide, more profound impact on school, teachers, and students. Researchers and practitioners are now communicating more and collaborating with practice leaders. Education research, like research in medicine, can help shape the way school leaders approach their toughest problems and emerging needs. It can help leaders, managers, and teachers ensure children develop strong foundational skills so that as future skilled workers, technicians, or entrepreneurs, they can continually upgrade themselves, learning the new skills needed in the 21st century workplace. The photos illustrate how convergence impacts education and the world of work. In an interactive classroom currently used in over 100 countries, the teacher uses a smartphone to collect data for each student based on an individual card. She gets instant feedback from her students to more effectively manage her class. The second photo shows how technology can be scaled up and empower personalized learning. Over the past 15 years, randomized evaluation have shown that teaching to the level of individual student consistently improve learning outcomes. This is a student in Kenya where they have made great progress in math using Wiz Education's adaptive platform to address individual learning needs. It is used by over 1 million students in the UK, the US, and also in the Middle East. The Arizona State University also used adaptive learning with 65,000 students across 12 courses. Its assessment and learning in knowledge spaces was used in a college algebra course, increasing completion rates by over 20% for average students and 28% for those furthest behind. At ADB, we are discussing with Vietnam how to expand a successful pilot project in math using these same methods. Tailored human support is important for integrating technology with education. Artificial intelligence or AI and adaptive learning software can help students learn at their own pace, learn from their mistakes, and better understand knowledge. Teachers can use data generated by adaptive learning software to cater to its students, focusing on active learning and higher order skills, combining cognitive and non-cognitive skills. A cohesive education ecosystem can scale up the capacity to integrate education technology, or EdTech, to improve both teaching and learning. It packages the most effective innovations based on each country's situations, taking into account all the work done to build a cohesive short, medium, and long-term plan. This ecosystem comprises 5 pillars: government policies, EdTech infrastructure, school and teachers, students and parent or caregiver, and those solution providers who together can transform education. This ecosystem approach can systematically identify gaps and opportunity for improvement. For example, simply investing in devices such as the one laptop per child approach without also improving connectivity, digital quality, and training teachers will fail. It must be developed as a package. Finally, there is a collaborations. Education is most important in moving toward all sustainable development goal targets. For example, a project-based approach focusing on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM education can help students learn about issues like climate change, sustainable development, and entrepreneurial skills. It also helps nurture collaborations across priority sectors and themes to partner with a variety of stakeholders. So let me end my remark by posing 3 questions for everyone to consider during this skill forum. First, as part of rethinking and reimagining education for a new or next normal, how can new generation technology like adaptive learning help to scale up learning and increase equity and inclusion? Second, given the blurring of post-secondary TVET and higher education, how can TVET and university collaborate with the private sector to improve employability skills? And finally, how can artificial intelligence and big data analytics help develop a real-time labor market intelligence system that links emerging labor market needs with individual skill profiles for those seeking jobs or providing training? These are critical questions, and we need to think about during the forum sessions. Once again, thank you for joining us, and please actively participate in the discussions. I wish you all the best and have a good day. Thank you. Back to you, Missy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bambang Susantono. Very important questions there. And indeed, you really gave us a comprehensive overview of all the challenges and opportunities in education. And I loved those pictures you presented of the real life situation for people out there. It really helps us understand and see what we need to address. So now let's hear from Mr. Brajesh Panth, Chief of ADB's Education Sector Group, to tell us more about what we all hope to gain at this forum.
Thank you very much, Mitzi, and thank you, Vice President Susantono, for setting the stage. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to the Asian Development Bank's 9th International Skills Forum. The COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically disrupted everything, so I'll reinforce what Vice President Susantono said, that we are used to doing and pushed us out of our comfort zone. Who would have thought that the educational institutions would be forced to go online overnight? A big lesson is to recognize the peril and promise of technology. While the pandemic has exacerbated learning and inequities at monumental proportion, it has also demonstrated how technology, like in other sectors, and particularly in e-commerce, is transforming, in some cases, radically. The debate is not about whether the technology will replace face-to-face teaching and learning. It will not, and it cannot. It is about how best the computing power of technology can enhance human intelligence and creativity to transform teaching and learning to scale learning and equity for all. As the famous saying goes, necessity is the mother of all inventions. We stand at a historical juncture to turn this crisis into an opportunity. It is with this spirit that we have the theme Reimagining Education and Skills Development for a New Normal for this forum. In line with the SDG 4 goal of quality education for all, we propose to take a two-pronged approach, as Vice President Susantono indicated, to support our developing member countries' journey of transforming their education systems. First, we want to go back to the basics to support addressing the core problems and the unfinished agenda of improving learning, equity, employability, and entrepreneurship. And second, we want to support transformational practices that blend psychology, brain science, pedagogy, and technology to deepen learning and equity while finding ways to scale up. We have a packed program covering all levels of education. The focus today is on the future of education. The keynote address from His Excellency, the Minister of Education of Indonesia, is a glimpse of the thinking of leaders from our developing member countries. The panel discussion features cutting-edge thinking of global thought leaders on how convergence of multiple disciplines will transform learning for all. Then we will complement this with cross-sectoral and thematic approaches needed to enhance the education role as the biggest enabler of all sustainable development goals. Day 2 focuses on school education. We start with 2 keynote addresses featuring conceptual thinking with practical applications on the importance of evidence in promoting and applying EdTech solutions to scale learning and equity. This is complemented by the panel discussion on the adaptive and personalized learning approach that combines foundational learning with higher order skills to develop self-directed lifelong learners. Day 3 is on technical education and vocational training. The keynote questions our thinking on TVET. Is it skill development or human transformation? To rethink education as a part of the overall renewal that starts with a transformational view of human resource development and requires looking at other complementary areas to make it a powerful equalizer. The panel on future of skills and jobs in the context of technological disruption will showcase latest developments in workforce development in response to emerging needs of Industry 4.0 skills and acceleration of digitalization. Day 4 is on the future of higher education and digital transformation. The keynote comes from the Vice Chancellor of an innovative university who will highlight the changing nature of higher education, the role of universities in supporting sustainable development goals, and how universities can prepare women leaders. The panel discussion delves deeper into the changing nature of higher education amid technological disruptions and online learning. Day 5 looks at how to improve teacher quality, which is the most critical component of education quality across all levels of education, and seeks feedback from the participants on how ADB can better respond to emerging needs of our developing member countries. We'll feature 2 TED Talk-like insights. One is about reinforcing the importance of going back to the basics of improving teaching and learning. The other is sharing insights on teaching and learning during the pandemic in the Philippines. In addition, we also feature innovative practices every day. At the end of day 5, our Vice President, Ahmad Saeed, will formally close the forum with his closing remarks. This forum is our collaborative effort to come together to join the regional and global forces in our common interest to deepen and scale learning and equity. As part of this extended family, please join the sessions actively and share your experience, insight, and wisdom to make this forum successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Michi.
Thank you, Brajesh, Panth. Very important points you raised here. And as you can see, it's a very packed week. And definitely during this time, there's a lot we have to learn and unlearn. So this forum comes at a very important time. Now let's move on to our keynote speaker. A warm welcome to His Excellency Nadiem Anwar Makarim, Minister of Education of Indonesia.
Excellencies, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Living with the COVID-19 pandemic for about a year and a half, we can see that there are changes, dramatic changes everywhere. In the context of global education, decades of progress in increasing participation rate and the quality of learning were suddenly halted. Then we begin to wonder, how will life be in the future? How will the next generation learn amidst all these changes and uncertainties? In this case, we need to remember that we cannot just return to what was normal. We must return to what is better by making disruption into an opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the journey of reimagining education and accelerating that transformation in teaching and in learning and preparing high quality teachers with the help of technology. And this should be one of our main priorities to bounce back stronger. And during the pandemic, teachers around the world have been forced out of their comfort zones to adopt technology in education. We would have never seen this kind of rate of adoption in the education sector of technology if it wasn't for the pandemic. So this is the best time to make this crisis into an opportunity and revitalize education. The digitalization of schools is now one of our priority programs within the Merdeka Belajar overall framework. And Merdeka Belajar translated as emancipated learning. In regard to this, we've been working on upgrading and developing digital education platforms. We have an entire technology team in the Ministry of Education and Culture right now that focuses on providing free to use digital platforms to manage school resources and to upskill and to empower teachers to become better educators. Among several platforms that we've developed, one called Teacher Learn and Share has received very, very positive feedback. Since October 2020, there have been more than 1.3 million teachers participating in this platform. This is the demand that the pandemic has created for these kind of upgrading competencies. And we're seeing a huge amount of organic interest in digital learning in general from teachers, which is fantastic. And during this pandemic, this Teacher Learn and Share platform, they help teachers learn from each other, which is the best way for teachers to learn in general, by sharing teaching resources and participating in online training programs. And the use of these digital platforms to upgrade teacher competency will become a new norm in the future. We would like to provide platforms that give full flexibility for teachers to learn at their own pace on subjects that are most interest to them and are most relevant to their classes. And this is really a new paradigm that we're trying to implement, and digital technology enables this to be a reality. We've also this week launched the latest update of Sipla, an e-commerce platform for school supply procurement, and recorded more than 1 million transactions since its first re-release in 2019. The platform has been incredibly helpful in increasing the transparency of the procurement process and reducing the administrative burden by principals and teachers indirectly, and so that they are able to really focus on the most important job of teaching instead of managing the operational logistics and administrative burdens of school life. Now, this will be followed by the launch of an education super app that we're currently developing. And for this app, we will have a much more integrated system to support more effective, personalized learning in the future, and evidence-based learning as well, to help teachers with data and information with which to guide them on where, how fast or how slow they should go with regard to the curriculum. We plan to release this at the end of the year, and this is quite a big milestone in modernizing Indonesia's education. Ladies and gentlemen, stepping ahead into the future with all of its uncertainty, one thing remains unchanged. A better future for our children starts from our aspiration and our dreams to see the opportunity in every challenge that we face. And together, we will learn and get education right for all children. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Minister Nadiem Makarim, for those very inspiring words. Indeed, it is really nice to see how digital technologies is uplifting education, and congratulations on all your milestones. And it would be great to really test those out and see how they can be used around the world. All right, so now we will pause for a 10-minute break. Please be back in about 10 minutes. After that, we'll move on to a panel discussion. So we'll see you at around 1:42.